So the first example we're going to look at is using JSON as a data source to LiveCode. So it's a good format for a data source as it's human readable and simple to process, and you could use it to store data, for example, a list of contacts or a user profile. If you have a sort of small amount of information, if you don't want to use a database, then JSON is a nice structured way to store data. You could also use it to specify your UI, and then in combination with script-only stacks, it can be a really useful tool if you want to use version control. So you can specify your UI, your layout in a JSON file. You can have the code for your app in script-only stacks, and then you're minimizing the amount of information that's stored in the binary files, which is useful if you're using version control software, whether that's GitHub or something else, and maximizing the amount of data that's in text files that can then be parsed and diffed and use all those tools is a good idea if you're wanting to use version control. So what we'll be doing is we'll be building just a very simple navigation menu. So I've got a simple JSON file here, menu.json. So this is an array with 5 elements: music, videos, movies, TV shows and podcasts, and that's stored in a JSON file. And we'll read that in and we'll use that to build our UI. So if I come back to LiveCode, we're just going to create a new stack. And I'll just change the name of this stack to, I'll call it UI example. And I'll just change the size. So we'll go for 568 and 320. So we'll have a little landscape stack here. And I'm just going to change the background color to white. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a scrolling list field, which we'll use as our menu. So I'll just pop this on here and we'll call this menu. And of course we can change some properties here to make it look a bit nicer. Change the highlight color. Okay, so now that we've got our simple UI set up, we need to actually load in the data from the JSON file, convert it to an array, and then populate our field with the items. So we're going to do this in the card script. So when the card is opened, so on pre-open card, we're going to call load menu, and then we'll add our command load menu down here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to build the path to our JSON file, and we're going to assume that it's in the same folder as our stack. So we'll have a variable with our file in it. And our JSON file is called menu.json. We then need to get the contents of that file, which will be our JSON data. And because it's actually a text file, we can use file here. And then we need to convert that JSON data into a LiveCode array. Okay, so I'm just going to put a breakpoint here so that we can test this out. We'll save our stack in the same folder as our JSON file. And now if I open up the message box, I should just be able to call pre-open card. And it's paused here, so you can see there's our JSON file. Here's the JSON data in that variable. And here is our array, so numerically keyed with the elements from the JSON array. So now what we need to do is we need to build that into a list, into a return separated list that we can put into this field to create our menu. So we'll have a variable t menu items, And what we'll do is we'll loop through our array and build our string of items. So we've built our list, return separated, deleted the last character because that would just be a return at the end, and then we just set the text of our field to the list we've built. Okay, so now if we call pre-open card again, then we get our list of items there. And if we want to add another item, then we can just add it to our JSON file. Save that. And then if we call pre-open card again, then it'll automatically update our UI. So all that information about what is in the UI is just in our JSON file. And although I did this on the card script, you could do all this code in a script-only stack and set it as a behavior on the card, and then you'd have a very small amount of data in your binary stack. And actually, to add an item to the list there, we didn't actually have to make any changes to our binary stack. We just changed our JSON file and regenerated the UI.